Well, I think there's a number of things that people need, and I think probably the most important thing is that people need the opportunity to grieve in their own way, and for people to not expect that they're going to do it one way or another way, because everybody does it a little bit differently. I think that people who've lost a loved one need assistance, but they need it when they need it and how they need it, and so I think it's important to not insist you must do this or whatever, but to be there as needed and try to be thoughtful for the person, because oftentimes when a person has lost someone, it's hard for them to make decisions, and so to constantly expect them to make decisions is not always helpful. The opportunity to express their feelings, to be able to be sad or to laugh or to be in some denial or whatever it is that they need to experience. They need to be able to express their feelings, and I think sometimes what happens is that when someone has passed, when someone has died, they may be afraid that their feelings of grief intrude upon other people, and I think sometimes we give the message that we're not comfortable with those unhappy feelings or those sad feelings, and we want to encourage people to get on with life and don't dwell on it and let's move on. And while that's valid, you know, I think it's helpful if we encourage people to move on with life. We don't want to push it for our own comfort. So again, it kind of goes back to letting people grieve in there. I think sometimes that, again, people are uncomfortable when people are hurting, and so they may try to avoid it because they don't want to upset someone, but the reality is someone is already upset, and so, you know, what we may do is say, well, we don't want to talk about that person. You know, we just won't bring it up because it will upset them. But people need to talk about it, again, in their own time and place, and so we need to send the message that we're okay with talking about it, and we're okay with the person feeling sad. I think also what's not helpful is that, what do you call it, the platitudes that we often offer people, like, oh, well, it's for the best, or they're in a better place, or they wouldn't want you to feel like this, or, you know, sometimes it's true if someone was really suffering, it may be good that their suffering ended, but that's not always comforting to a person who's grieving. Is when they feel like they've had unfinished business. You know, maybe there were issues that weren't addressed, or past wrongs that weren't righted, or you know, they went through the dying process and they were maybe hostile or not helpful or whatever, and then the person dies and they realize their loss and the missed opportunity to kind of heal and get over things. I think that makes that more difficult. I think that oftentimes when people have lost a loved one, that they need somebody to help them with practical matters. Sometimes providing food can be very helpful, assisting with arrangements for a funeral, just being with them, keeping them company, maybe helping them get re-engaged in activities of daily living.